Shaymin Sky. I remember this thing being a demon in Gen 6 competitive singles with Air Slash with Serene Grace, being able to have a 60% chance to flinch the opponent, which gives you way better odds. And the fact that they just can't move, yeah, it could be very annoying to play against. But is it actually going to be good in a doubles competitive setting? We're going to be finding out that answer today, as we're going to be trying out a Shaymin Sky team built by a world champion and seeing how well it can perform. The 2017 world champion Ryota built this Shaymin Sky team with some interesting text featuring a max speed modest Lunala as well as an assault vest Ursaluna with guts. Let's break it down. First up, we have the Focus Sash Shaymin Sky with the Serene Grace, which doubles its odds of getting the secondary effects from its moves, with the Ghost Terror type to help out against Fake Out and Extreme Speed, with Seed Flare, Air Slash, Tailwind, and Protect. So Tailwind, you want the speed control because of the fact that Shaymin is fast, but it's not the fastest Pokemon out there, especially with all the big restricteds and the mythicals, the base 135s like Chien-Pao, Fluttermane, Koraidon, Miraidon. You have Calyx Shadow Rider as well. So you still want some speed advantage, especially to help out your allies. You have Air Slash, which of course, with a 30% chance to flinch normally, Serene Grace makes it 60% chance. So it's really fun to play against Shaymin Sky with a 60% chance to flinch your opponent. And then Seed Flare is a really strong special grass type move. It is a bit inaccurate, however, 40% chance to lower the opponent's special defense by 2 stages, which is absolutely incredible. When Serene Grace, you have 80% chance to lower that special defense. It is pretty strong, especially with a follow-up from a really strong attack from your Raging Bolt or Lunala on this team. So the EV spread here, we do have a max speed Shaymin Sky because you want to mainly go for those flinches with the Air Slash, which is really important. Allows you to outspeed Arceus and quite a few other Pokemon out there. You have the special attack, which is 120 base with max special attack, because again, you have the Focus Sash to take a really strong hit. You want to fire off some strong damage, and the remainder goes into special defense. Across the board, Shaymin Sky is more of a support Pokemon here with the Tailwind support, Air Slash for the 60% chance to flinch, and the Seed Flare, which is able to do quite a bit of solid damage, but more importantly, you are hoping for the 80% chance to get that special defense of your opponent lowered by 2 stages, so you can follow up with a really powerful attack from your Lunala, from your Pelipper, and your Raging Bolt. Next up, we have the Safety Goggles Raging Bolt with the Pro Synthesis, which gives a special attack booster while in the sun, with the Electric Terror type to power up its electric type moves even further, while also getting rid of any dragon weaknesses with the Thunderbolt, Draco Meteor, Thunderclap, and Protect. It's a pretty standard Raging Bolt. The team doesn't exactly have the best answers to Amoonguss, so having the Safety Goggles to be able to switch into those Sleep Powders and Spores. You also have the ability to just go for really strong coverage with Thunderbolt and Draco Meteor especially, and that Thunderclap does help out with priority access. And the EV spread, pretty simple, 220 modest special attack does allow it to do a ton of damage, 228 a lot of HP I suppose, and then 60 speed, which with Tailwind does allow you to outspeed the base 135s when Tailwind is set up. So this Raging Bolt able to help out against switching into water type moves, which the team doesn't really switch into water type moves well, especially when you have like frail mons like Pelipper and Urshifu, which don't take like water spouts for instance super well from Kyogres and more. And the Shaymin, of course, is Focus Sash, so you don't really want to switch into it, so you want to have a backup answer to the water type mons, and also have a switch into electric as well against the Miraidons. And yeah, quite a bit that the Raging Bolt is able to provide with the support and just dish out good amounts of damage. Next Pokemon we have is the Power Herb Lunala with the Shadow Shield, which is able to half the damage Lunala takes while at full HP, with the Fairy Terror type, which is able to power up its Dazzling Gleam while giving it a good resistance to Dark, with the Moongeist Beam, Meteor Beam, Dazzling Gleam, and Wide Guard. So it's an interesting Lunala set. Power Herb with the Meteor Beam is able to do a good amount of damage, hit Incineroar, increase the special attack Lunala, allow Lunala to be more of a setup sweeper, and really dish out good amounts of damage across the board. The Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam is able to threaten a lot, and yeah, you're not running Trick Room even if you have Ursaluna, because this is meant for Battle Stadium. Of course, Regulation J is a closed team sheet format, and you are able to think, oh, Lunala, Ursaluna, they'll go for Trick Room setup. Makes a lot of sense. But then the Lunala has all these different coverage options and can go on the offense pretty well. And then that Wide Guard, of course, to help out against the spread moves. Across the board, this Lunala, very simple, just max special attack, max speed, and 4 HP. It really is supposed to be a fast Lunala that's supposed to be threatening under the Tailwind and dish out a good amount of damage. Next Pokemon we have is the Assault Vest Ursaluna with the Guts ability, which is normally able to help out when the Ursaluna's status. It gives a 1.5x attack boost with the Ghost Terra type, which is able to help out against the fighting moves as well as the fake outs and extreme speeds with Earthquake, Headlong Rush, Shadow Claw, and Giga Impact. Yeah, so normally most Ursalunas tend to run Flame Orb, but sometimes on the Stadium Ladder, we do tend to see these Assault Vest Ursalunas. Normally they are bulletproof, which is kind of interesting, so still running Guts in case like Ursaluna gets burned or poisoned by a status, so not really necessary, but the Assault Vest, what makes Ursaluna key, because it really allows it to tank special attacks that normally wouldn't be able to handle. And you have Earthquake, Headlong Rush for really strong ground type options. You have Shadow Claw, which is cool, especially with that Terra Ghost option that can power it up. But really being able to hit the Calyx Shadow Riders as well as the Lunalas for some decent damage. And then Giga Impact, which is a really strong normal move where if you have to and get a really strong hit off, yeah, that Giga Impact can make a impact, I suppose. EV spread wise, this is a pretty slow Ursaluna with 204 HP. It's really bulky, 108 defense, and 196 with Inanimate Nature in attack. So the idea of this Ursaluna, it can live stuff like Body Press from Zamazenta, it can live a Glacial Lance from Calyx Ice Rider, and still do a ton of damage across the board. It doesn't have that Flame Orb access, so you don't need the Facade. But the Assault Vest Ursaluna has been a thing on Stadium Ladder. It's just really able to usually survive one hit and fire back some heavy damage, which is really cool because sometimes when you do play Stadium Ladder, like one of the obvious plays is to protect the Ursaluna because of the fact that you want to activate the Flame Orb. But this Ursaluna can actually go on the offense, and even if you get the call wrong, you're still able to do a ton of damage. So that's kind of the thing about this Ursaluna. It's good into opposing Lunala. It's good into the Calyx Shadow Riders out there and really able to threaten the Miraidons, especially with the Assault Vest, which actually allows the Ursaluna to take an attack like a Dazzling Gleam or a Draco Meteor. Next Pokemon we have is the Covert Cloak Pelipper, which helps out against secondary effects like the Fake Out Flinch and the stat draws from like Icy Wind, Snarl. The Pelipper doesn't have to worry about the Drizzle to summon the Rain with the Grass Terra type, which is useful against super effective electric type moves while being immune to the Spore and Rage Powders from Amoonguss with Weather Ball, Hurricane, Wide Guard, and Protect. So it's kind of interesting to see Pelipper because we don't really see Pelipper too much, especially in the double restricted format, but being able to help out specifically into Koraidon, which can be a pretty big threat, especially with the Terra Fire option. The weather teams in general power up the Urshifu a bit more, and the ability to just have a secondary Wide Guard user on the team so you don't have to go with Wide Guard on the Lunala. You can actually just Wide Guard spam with Pelipper and just dish out a good amount of damage. Yeah, it does make a lot of sense here and does help out against those Sun teams. Weather Ball, of course, turns into a water type move under the rain and able to hit for some pretty solid damage. The Hurricane, a really strong flying type attack that's 100% accurate in the rain. And the Wide Guard, again, double Wide Guard on this team does leave your opponent guessing. And maybe they would expect the Lunala maybe not to carry Wide Guard in some cases because you have the Wide Guard on Pelipper, or maybe they think you have Tailwind on the Pelipper, so it keeps them guessing. EV spread wise, it is just a max special attack and max speed Pelipper, which is pretty frail, especially when considering no Focus Sash. But the idea here is that you do have the Focus Sash on the Shaymin, and the Covert Cloak can maybe help out in some cases against Fake Out, but across the board, really, it is just able to set up the weather, and that's what Pelipper is supposed to do, help out the Urshifu here in this team. And the final mon of this team, of course, is going to be the Choice Scarf Rapid Strike Urshifu with the Unseen Fist and the Water Terra type to power up its water moves even further and get rid of any weaknesses that the Fighting type has with the Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and U-Turn. It is just a very powerful mon, helps out against Calyx Shadow Rider because the team does lack the immediate speed in order to outspeed Calyx Shadow Rider, so it can threaten a ton of damage. Fit into Chien Pao, which the team does have some problems with, so having the ability to just dish out a good amount of damage against those really heavy threats and have a Pokemon that is pretty fast that can pair up with the Shaymin Sky, because otherwise your team is pretty slow other than those Pokemon. The next Pokemon would be Lunala, and it doesn't even break through the base 100, so having some speed on this team, and of course with the Pelipper dishing out a good amount of damage, it's a pretty simple Choice Scarf Urshifu. I think we all know what this mon does. Unseen Fist does allow the contact moves that Urshifu has go through Protect, and just hits really hard. Outspeed Shadow Rider with max speed, you want to hit hard, so max attack. Yeah, there's not really much to say about Urshifu. It's just a really strong offensive mon that is able to do a lot and ignore protect. So how to use the team across the board. The team is about setting up the Tailwind with Shaymin and really being able to do a good amount of damage under the Tailwind by catching your opponent maybe a bit off guard in the team preview based on surprises, because the Shaymin, of course, with the Lunala Ursaluna makes it a bit weird because they might think, oh, it's a Trick Room team. That makes a lot of sense. But nope, it's a fast Lunala, and the Ursaluna is not a Flame Orb set, so it can actually just dish out damage across the bat and still will be able to tank the attacks. So you do have some surprises there. And yeah, a lot of the idea of the team dishing out a good amount of damage, setting up the Tailwind with the Shaymin, really being able to fire back some pretty good offense across the board. Leads wise, I think Shaymin plus Lunala is probably one of the strongest leads that this team does have to offer. Because of the focus sash on the Shaymin and the shadow shield on Lunala, it is hard to remove both of them at the same time, so you usually are able to get the Tailwind up safely and get a pretty strong attack with Lunala and then utilize those turns of Tailwind. You do have, of course, Urshifu that could lead. Urshifu with Shaymin Sky is also pretty strong if it isn't like a Miraidon, because you can just fire off some pretty strong damage with the Urshifu immediately, set up the Tailwind or more. And against a lot of teams, you might just lead Shaymin in general, because if it's like a Trick Room team, you can go for like the Air Slash flinch. You could lead the Lunala to pressure the Trick Room setter. In some rare cases, you can also lead Shaymin with like Ursaluna, where you could go for the Tailwind Earthquake and they might not expect it. And it can actually be pretty powerful into certain modes, especially against Pokemon like the Raging Bolt, against maybe some balance cores with like Incineroar. You might be able to catch them a little bit off guard with the Tailwind or the Air Slash into Headlong Rush. You have quite a few different things that you could do. Lead wise more, you also have, of course, like the Urshifu Pelipper Rain mode. You do have the Lunala Ursaluna bluff that you could just lead immediately, and you can go for like really strong attacks across the board. They might be surprised by the timid Lunala. Raging Bolt can lead with anything really and just fire out some pretty strong damage. But yeah, you do have quite a few different modes here, but I'd say mainly the Shaymin does love to lead the most, and you really want to just fire out some pretty strong damage utilizing the Lunala, the Ursaluna, and whatever else you decide to bring. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. But in the comments down below, let me know what you think of Shaymin and Shaymin Sky. I think this Pokemon was demonic in Gen 6. I remember playing and using it in singles at least, and Air Slash was crazy. I also used it in doubles OU a bit. That was also absurd with the Air Slash, like the flinch chance. Of course, Covert Cloak is now a thing, so definitely a lot less problematic, but really cool Pokemon. And I will say that I do like the Shaymin and the Giratina movie, which I thought was solid, even though I think the Shaymin was a bit annoying in that movie. But let me know what your thoughts are about Shaymin down below. Do you like this Pokemon? Do you not like this Pokemon? Let me know in the comments why. But otherwise, let's get started and play some games. Alright, we have Calyx, Shadow Rider, Koraidon, Fluttermane, Brute Bonnet, Indeedee, and Ursaluna. Alright, how do I want to approach this? Because Fluttermane's a bit weird. Fluttermane's not easy, but Koraidon. I don't mind dealing with Trick Room, but I mean, I guess I do have Rain. Rain is really good against like the Fluttermane core, I'd assume. It's not easy to say if it's like correct. The Bear is really good here. Ursh is also decent here. Got like a lot of combinations I could probably go for. I think I like the idea of just like leading the Lunala plus the Shaymin Sky and then have Pelipper and Ursaluna back. Because I need Pelipper for the Koraidon Weather Change. I like the Shaymin Lunala lead the most because it puts on the most offensive pressure. Ursaluna lead doesn't really do well against the Koraidon. Yeah, I think this is probably it. Ursh would be really good for Surging Strikes, but I feel like they can't let me Surging Strikes in Rain, right? They have to bring Bonnet, I imagine. I think they go like Bonnet, Calyx, Shadow Rider, Koraidon, Fluttermane, but we'll see. Bonnet, Shadow Rider. Okay, yeah, this is perfect. As I lead Lunala plus the Indeedee. And a lot of Bonnets were dropping Covert Cloak for Citrus. So I wonder if I can just Air Slash this Bonnet into Oblivion. I could also Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam here, which would be kind of big too. I got a lot of options. I kind of like the idea of just going for Tailwind Dazzling Gleam right off the bat. I could Wide Guard, but that does leave Spore as an opportunity for them. I could go for Protect plus Terra Fairy an attack, but I'm not sure that's worth. I think I'm just going to go for Air Slash, Terra, Fairy, Dazzling Gleam. I think that's okay. They're going to go for Terra on the Bonnet or the Calyrex. Calyrex. Okay, so that's fine. This is best case scenario, actually, because I wasn't expecting it to Terra Dark immediately, but sure, I'll take it. Unless they suckered here. If they sucker punch, is bad, but Air Slash and a Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam seems pretty good to me for a starter here. I wonder their Nasty Plot, because if they're Nasty Plot, this definitely gets interesting. Man, I wish I brought Ursh, because I think Ursh would just win at this point if I get rid of the Bonnet. I didn't think to get rid of the Bond this quickly. They go for the Astral Barrage. That makes sense. I tank it decently okay. It is Life Orb. Okay. And Air Slash off into the Bonnet. Pretty good damage. It is Citrus. Okay, so I might actually need that flinch chance. I might need that flinch chance because I don't think this Gleam is picking up that knockout, unfortunately. We will get a good amount of damage, though, on both Pokemon. Yeah, just barely misses the knockout. Oh, I didn't get the Spore off. Okay. Okay. Oh, is this that bad? I guess it just depends on how fast the Bonnet is. I can go on to Ursaluna and Protect here because they probably are just going to go for Astral Barrage to knock out the Shaymin Sky. I wonder what they do with the Bonnet. They could switch out, but I don't know. But yeah, we bring out the Ursa. Protect our Shaymin Sky. As they go for Sucker Punch, which is an interesting decision. Did they Nasty Plot? No. Okay. I guess they're recovering. Well, they know I wasn't Scarf. So I'm kind of curious on the Sucker Punch. I thought they would try to Spore maybe the Shaymin slot, but this works out pretty well for me. I can go for a Tailwind and an Earthquake, I guess, here. Or I could sack my Lunala. I don't think sacking Lunala is worth it. I think I just always Tailwind and Earthquake. They saw that I wasn't the Guts Ursaluna with Flame Orb, so I'm kind of curious on what their expectation is. But right now, I can go for an Earthquake and I can get a Tailwind up potentially. They do go for Astral, okay. It will knock out the Shaymin. Ah, please tell me I didn't mess up and I should have went Lunala and Earthquaked. I'm hoping Ursaluna outspeeds, but I think it might not. Yeah, the Bonnet's faster. Okay, that's bad. That's really bad. I might need a first turn Wake, but even then, it's looking rough. I think I gotta go Pelipper. You gotta have resources available. I think I gotta protect an Earthquake. And just hope that they start spamming Psychic into the Pelipper. Yeah, I think that's the case. It could switch out, which is fine, into Koraidon. Well, a hard switch into Koraidon wouldn't be great for me, but I didn't think they were likely to because that's just risky against the Pelipper, especially if I click Hurricane. They do Psychic that slot, which makes sense. Hopefully we get a Wake Up in Earthquake. That would be ideal. A Seed Bomb double in case I'm Sash on the Pelipper makes sense. Please Wake Up. If we get a Wake Up, that's huge. Okay. Although, actually, I might still be in a bad position because now they get a free switch to Koraidon. This might be fine, though. This Bonnet goes down. Calyrex goes down. Do I have to hit a raw Hurricane? I might. So I think the back should be Koraidon plus Flutter Mane. They have to fighting move my Ursaluna, I think. Oh no, they brought their own Ursa. Okay, wait, hold on. Can Pelipper just win here? I think Pelipper could just win here. They're gonna target down the Ursaluna slot, right? You know what? I think I always just Hurricane and swap into my... It's a Hurricane and Sun 50% chance, but I think they always fighting move because the switch to Lunala on the Pelipper slot's so obvious. Is there a downside to that? Because I think they might actually just go for Headlong Rush into the Lunala, reading it right, and close combat to Ursa. Because it's kind of a mind game. So I think I will go for this play, actually. Because I feel the Pelipper switch is just so obvious. And I don't want to give them momentum by getting a KO onto the Ursa exactly. If we hit the Hurricane, oh my goodness, we're in great spot. If we don't, it's not like terrible, though. Oh, we do hit the Hurricane. That's huge. Good damage into the Koraidon. And the confusion, so huge benefits there, huge benefits. Oh, they facaded. I thought they were gonna go for Earthquake. Wait, how bad is that? Not awful, but it's not great. Lunala's guaranteed to take a turn of sleep. We go for Dazzling Gleam. We swap out the Pelly. I think it comes down to reading an Ursaluna Protect or not. It also might come down to confusion as well. All right. You get the attack off, I'm assuming. Yep. Oh, they flame charge, which is interesting. Okay. Oh, did they facade the bear? Does that KO actually? Because if they don't KO, they could lose off that. This is facade into an Ursaluna. We'll see. Yeah, I do hang on. Okay, wait. I think we have a very good chance of winning then. Or the chances of winning, I think, are pretty high. We can Weather Ball the Ursaluna, take the knockout, and Koraidon has to hit through the confusion, get the collision course off into the bear. Because if they don't, they go down to Earthquake. So I will go for Earthquake, and I'll go for Weather Ball here. I mean, there are odds. Like, if I Weather Ball to Koraidon and they protect the Ursaluna, they lose too. So it's kind of a mind game there. I don't think they protected the bear, so I think I guarantee win anyway. Yeah, because Flare Blitz no shot KOs Pelipper. I don't get why they didn't Collision Course either, because Collision Course is just better. Because I used my Terra already. That was a crit 2 on the Flare Blitz. Yeah, there was no chance they were winning off that. Okay. So I do get a Weather Ball. I have no idea what they were reading. Because I Terra'd already, right? So I couldn't Terra anyway, and I would never Terra to Pelipper. I would never Terra to Pelipper. Maybe they thought it was Ghost Terra, but I already Terra to Lunala. So I don't know what's... Because Collision Course is stronger than Flare Blitz from non-Terra'd Koraidons. I have no idea what that was. But that was their play. Like, yeah, I still won. Granted, I did get lucky with the Hurricane, Hidden Sun, and Confusion. I did get unlucky with my Shaymin Sky Air/Flinch. That mon's supposed to flinch. That bonnet was not supposed to move. Just saying. But unfortunately, Shaymin Sky didn't put in the greatest lead efforts. But you know what? The bear and Pelipper unironically put in a good amount of work in the endgame. Kyogre, Incineroar, Miraidon, Rillaboom, Urshifu, Tornadus. Okay, definitely an interesting one. Dealing with Urshifu. Okay. I mean, I like Raging Bull plus the Shaymin Sky here. I think that's like a pretty good combo in general against the team. What do I like in the back? I think it's probably Lunala for sure. I don't think I bring Pelipper, and I don't think I bring Ursaluna, so I think it's Urshifu, which means I'm really weak to Raging Bolt. So Raging Bolt's going to have to be #1 priority to get rid of. I'm also really weak to Rillaboom, I feel like, with this. So let's see what we can do, because we have to lead Shaymin Sky, I'm pretty sure, to try and match Tailwind. And if we don't match Tailwind, yeah, it's not a great spot. I don't know what they lead here, though. Like, if they lead Torn Kyogre, Torn Urshifu, or Torn Miraidon, it really depends on like what they lead with, because if they lead Miraidon, probably the hardest one, I'm probably sacking the Raging Bolt immediately, but we'll find out. And also, by losing the Raging Bolt, I don't really take the attacks well, but it's okay. Urshifu Miraidon's an interesting one. Do I think this is Sash Urshifu, or do I think this is like Scarf? Because I could Tailwind immediately and Thunderclap. I could also Draco here, because if they want to deny Tailwind, I just don't know if their U-turn. If their U-turn Urshifu was Scarf, then my best play is the Thunderclap. I don't think they ever let me do that, though. I think I Draco Meteor Tailwind. I feel like Urshifu should swap out. If they have Rillaboom, they bring in Rillaboom. I don't know what the Miraidon's clicking, because Shaymin, they could Volt Switch here, which is fine. If they Dazzling Gleam, that's probably worst case. If they Draco, it's not ideal. But granted, I'm just in a tough spot because the team doesn't have switch-ins to this. They do retreat to Urshifu, like I expect to dodge Thunderclap potential because it could be Scarf or Bandit on this team. A Rillaboom comes in, so I do get the call right. Okay. But that's interesting because they shut off their own terrain. They Dragon Pulse. Are they Specs? They're Specs. Okay. Good to confirm. Good to confirm there. All right. That's fine. That's fine. You get the Tailwind up, and I think this is all right. It's not great by any means, but this is doable. Granted, if they hard read me, it's going to be really bad, but I'm hoping that they don't. I'm just going to go for a Meteor Beam into the Miraidon and protect my Shaymin and hope that they let me go for a Moongeist Beam or Dazzling Gleam Air Slash at the next turn. Hopefully. I think they might retreat the Miraidon. If they have Torn back, this would be super ideal. Because I feel like you would want Electric Terrain, but maybe they don't. Maybe they would just be okay with staying and attacking, like getting damage into Shaymin. But we'll see. Ideally, this isn't double up into Lunala with either Grassy Glide, Dragon Pulse, or Dragon Pulse Woodhammer. That would be catastrophic. But they do switch out to Miraidon like I had a feeling, so this is really good. Oh, they brought Kyogre in. Okay. Interesting. This is fake out into Shaymin, or are they going for Grassy Glide into the Lunala or U-turn? Alright, they didn't fake out. This might be U-turn. Although, granted, this is not a terrible spot. The Meteor Beam at +1. It'll do good damage to Kyogre. Nice. Hey, U-turn. Okay. I won't have Shadow Shield back this turn, but I will get it the next turn if they keep Grassy Terrain up. If they go Miraidon, I think I just Air Slash Dazzling Gleam. That works fine. Yeah, I don't mind this spot. Like, I gotta capitalize on these Tailwind turns, but it's not a bad spot. They go Miraidon, which is excellent for me. That leftovers Kyogre? Okay, I'm definitely not scared of Kyogre nearly as much then. All right, ideally we need to get rid of the Miraidon. I'm going for Seed Flare into the Miraidon, and I'm gonna go for Dazzling Gleam. Because unless this is some random Terra Fire set, I should OHKO to Miraidon. And I like that a lot. So I'm thinking they're probably going to Terrasilize, which is why I also want to Seed Flare and Dazzling Gleam because it covers that too. Maybe I should Terra Fairy to be safe, but they do Terrasilize in the Fairy type, which is good for me. So ideally, I get the KO here with Seed Flare plus Dazzling Gleam, especially if I get the Spadef drop. And they protect the Kyogre. That's beautiful. Hit the attack. Nice. -2. -2. Oh, yes. Oh, yes, Shaymin. Oh, yes, Shaymin. Get that KO on the Miraidon with Lunala with Dazzling Gleam. Goodbye, Miraidon. That's the Terrasalization gone. And that is one step that makes it closer for us to be able to beat this team overall. So that is a huge knockout. Okay, we don't know the Urshifu set, which is still scary. They're going to go out into Rillaboom here. They have to, right? Yeah. I'm just going to go for attacks into the Rillaboom. Or I could Wide Guard here, I guess. Wide Guard isn't a bad play either. Because they certainly go for a spread move, I imagine. Did I reveal Protect on my Shaymin? I did. I could Terra Ghost Seed Flare, but I feel like that's disastrous the next turn, potentially. I think I just Protect, and I think I go for Wide Guard or Moongeist Beam. think I Moongeist beamed Rilla because I need the damage on Rilla desperately. Oh, they forfeit? I think the game's nowhere near over because you could definitely play around this. I wonder what the Earth set is because I feel like if you're Choice Scarf, you definitely have a chance. I think like your play is to double up the Lunala, maybe go for like Origin Pulse U-turn. But granted, if I go for Seed Flare, it's a risk anyway. So if they fake out Origin Pulse, then I guess I get Tailwind up the next turn. But I don't know. I don't think the game is technically over because there's Seed Flare having to hit. Like, you could double up and make a hard read there. Like, I don't think the game's over by far. But you know what? I'll take it. That's what they think. All right. We have Arceus, Rillaboom, Chien-Pao, Eternatus, Skeledirge, and Urshifu. A wild team, to say the least. Okay, beating the Eternatus will be rough depending on its set. I don't know if it's going to be some Covert Cloak stall strat or offensive Meteor Beam. I think I don't need Pelipper in this matchup. I am a bit weak to Rilla. Should I bring Raging Bolt? I think the answer is no. I think I prefer Shaymin. Is it Shaymin Urshifu lead? I think Shaymin Urshifu is actually pretty decent here. Yeah, I like Shaymin Urshifu with Lunala and Ursaluna back. Because Ursaluna is probably like my best mon to deal with the offensive Eternatus if it's offensive. So let's see what happens. I don't really need rain in this matchup. It's not like super important to me. We're going to see the lead of the Chien-Pao Eternatus. So this is a pretty good lead, I'd say. As I do lead the Shaymin and the Urshifu. If I U-turn, I don't put myself in a good spot. So I think I just always protect Insurgent Strikes here. It could go Rilla and attack, which is a bit annoying, but like I can't risk Shaymin getting doubled up here, and I can't really let the other two Pokemon not under Tailwind be in a rough spot. So we get Insurgent Strikes off into the Pao, and Pao will go down to 2, which is important. Like I had to Terra Water KO it, and I don't think Terra Water risk turn 1 is necessary here. They go for Ice Spinner into the Shaymin. Is this a double up? Because I don't think this is stall. Yeah, they just go for Dynamax Cannon, which is fine. Does a lot, but sure. Okay. I think I Tailwind. They got a Sucker Punch, right? I think it's probably worth going for the Tailwind and is it worth swapping? Because I'm in extreme speed range no matter what. I think I'd rather have health on the others. I think I'm just going to go for a Surging and Tailwind. Because if they don't Sucker, they're in a bad spot. They go for Ice Shard into Ursh. Okay, that would have been really bad too. Like breaking my Shell Shield like that would have been really bad. So I think that's okay. Get Tailwind up. As they go for like a Sludge Bomb or something. Oh, Meteor Beam. Okay. So it is offensive Eternatus. That's not like too surprising to me. Okay. Cool team. Cool team. All right. Brings me to Sash. We play some mind games here, but I think the bear is in a good spot to click Earthquake. They have to double up the bear, which would be awkward, but they might raid the bear to protect. I mean, this is kind of a weird turn because like I could protect either Mon, but I think I will just go for Earthquake protect. I really don't want to commit Terra if I don't have to just yet. I do have Ghost Terras for the Arceus, but I think I should save them at the opportune timing. I need to get rid of these, or specifically I gotta get rid of the Pao before I can go for attacks into my Lunala. But let's see. Protect Eternatus, which makes sense. I'm assuming they're trying to Ice Shard my Shaymin. Okay, no, they Ice Shard my bear, which is fine. Okay, so bear takes a bit, but Earthquake will KO the Chien-Pao, and that's decent. That is decent. So I'm kind of curious if that's Sash power or not, because if it's Sash Urshifu, I'm gonna have a lot of problems, and I mean a lot of problems. I did go Rillaboom. Okay. This Rillaboom is a problem. They could fake out our Grassy Glide my Shaymin, so there's no reason to Terra that Mon. I could Terra my Bear, which is probably like the best angle. I think it's always switch to Lunala and just go for a headlong rush into the Eternatus. The next turns are tricky though, and I mean very tricky. Like being the Arceus is going to be tough. And also because this isn't like a fast bear, I can't really like outspeed the Arceus. I do outspeed Rillaboom, but the Dynamax Cannon will probably put me in range of Grassy Glide the next turn. We get the Ghost Terra. It did Grassy Glide. What was my Shaymin? Yep, that makes sense. And Dynamax Cannon the bear. I should live with the Assault Vest, I assume. Okay, we get the KO. So Eternatus is down. This is doable, but it's not pretty. It's really not pretty. Might depend on the Arceus set, but yeah, dealing with this is super difficult. I put myself in the best position I can, but yeah, it's Arceus. Okay, we need to, I think, go for... There's so many turns of grassy terrain. I just don't think I can stall them. I think I gotta Meteor Beam the Rillaboom and Giga Impact the Rillaboom and hope they don't Grassy Glide here my bear. If they don't Grassy Glide my bear, I might actually have a decent chance, but even then it's looking really rough. We see a Terra coming out from Arceus, which is interesting. So what are you tearing into? Why'd you tear into water? Okay, interesting. Wait, why did they not Grassy Glide? You get a huge Meteor Beam off into the Rilla. That's big damage. Really big damage. Liquidation, what? They target my Lunala? What? Please hit. Please hit. Just hit. Just hit. Just hit. Just hit. Oh, they're max speed. That's max speed Rillaboom. Okay. I KO'd the Rillaboom, but now we're playing a mind game here. Ellen Peters out. Shaymin comes in. We outspeed the Arceus. I assume it has extreme speed. I've been protecting the Shaymin the entire time. I feel like I have to either get a double protect to win this if they just extreme speed the or what. I think I will protect here though. It's kind of a mind game. I could Seed Flare and potentially win off the spot here. I don't even know if Seed Flare KOs Water Arceus actually. It did extreme speed. Okay, so I did something and now it's like a 50-50. Zersaluna has to recharge. Okay, it's a 50-50. Well, there's a 50-50 and then another layer chance. So 50-50 is who the Arceus targets of the Shaymin or the Ursaluna, and the other one is do I get a double protect, which is like 33% chance. I think I'll go for a double protect and a headlong. So if I get him in a really good spot, they could liquidation, but I did get the double protect. Did they extreme speed or did they liquidation? Does this put me in a winning spot? How much does Headlong Rush do? Should do a lot. Okay, I don't KO with the next one. I'll have to connect a Giga Impact. The thing is, they do have Life Orb and they take the recoil, but I just don't know if that'd be enough because it could be a range. I'm gonna Seed Flare, and you know what? We're gonna fire off the Gate Impact. We're launch it. They didn't Extreme Speed. They Liquidationed. Beautiful. Yes, I don't know why they didn't Grassy Glide the Ursaluna to isolate the rest. I don't know why, but you know what? I'll take it. I don't know why they went for the Terra Water Eater, which I thought was super unnecessary, but I'll take it. Because that gave me opportunities to just KO. Maybe they thought I wasn't... Well, they should know I'm a Salt Vest Ursaluna. And like getting a Grassy Glide into either Shaymin or Ursaluna is really massive. So I'm kind of surprised they took the knockout Lunala, because Lunala couldn't KO either of those Pokemon. Like, I don't think I had a single option that could KO either of those Pokemon, like, at all. So you know what? I do think it wasn't the best played my part, but I'm just trying to figure out like what could I even do to break through that core. But it did involve my opponent misplaying towards the end, and it just worked out really well. I think if I needed anything, I probably needed to lead Ursaluna so I could pressure the Eternatus immediately and save Urshifu for back, I suppose. Miraidon, Iron Chuds, Volcarona, Farigiraf, Salamence, and Calyx Ice Rider. Okay. The Salamence is a strange one. Like, really strange one, but alright. And I want to approach against this. I do like the bear a lot in this matchup, but there is the Cali Ice, which makes it a bit difficult. Am I leading Shaymin? It might be Shaymin back here, which is better, I think. I think it's Lunala plus the... I think it's Lunala plus the Ursaluna as the lead. Yeah, I like that as a lead. I like Shaymin, and then I think I like Ursh as the last. It could be Raging Bolt, though. It depends on if I think it's Terra Water or Calyx, but I guess Shaymin's probably good enough for that. Yeah, I think I bring Ursh. Do I like Ursh? Yeah, I like Ursh, because I'm a bit weak to Volcarona otherwise. I like this combo a lot here. I like the idea of leading the Lunala because it covers more for the Calyrex. I have Wide Guard immediately if they decide to Glacial. And they lead like this Iron Treads plus the Miraidon stuff. They have to play very specifically into my Ursaluna. So they might not know what my Ursaluna is either. But this could be a really nice turn potentially. I don't need Ursh to win the game. I'm debating about just clicking Earthquake and swapping out into Ursh. I could also go Shaymin, because I think this is knockoff here. I think I'm gonna go out in Ursh and just Earthquake, because Lunala is way more valuable. I let Lunala in case they let Calyx Ice Riders lead, and if they let this, the bear should be good enough for now. I'm just gonna go for Earthquake. Now, the only thing that becomes a problem is if they know the set, they go for knockoff Draco Meteor into the bear, knockoff Terra Dazzling Gleam. That would be bad, but not much I can do there. Oh, there's Scarf. Okay. So Scarf Miraidon, that's fine. Probably makes it easier, actually. What's coming in taking the Earthquake? Unless it's Mence, I should get a KO onto Iron Treads here, especially if it's the Life Orb. Okay, Calyx takes Earthquake, which is nice. That is pretty solid. Oh, Steel Roller? Oh, I guess that's big damage, but not like crazy amounts. Is that even Life Orb? That didn't really do much. Yeah, that's not Life Orb. I get an Earthquake off. I don't KO the Treads. This is an interesting spot. I might have to go Shaymin. I might have to go Shaymin and flinch now. I think I have to. Because if I go Lunala and I get knocked off on a Meteor Beam, I just instant lose. I don't think I can afford that. I think I'm just going to Air Slash an Earthquake here. The damage into Cali Ice. It wasn't attack booster, right? I'm like pretty sure I saw speed booster. And if it was attack booster, it would have done way more damage. Are they going out into... Oh, wait, this is smart. They get the steamroller again. Oh, I'm about to get steamrollered. I'm about to get steamrollered here. Oh, no. I could still win, though. Like, this is definitely doable if they steamroller again. Because they get rid of their own terrain. And then I get free momentum with my Lunala next to Shaymin. So I guess this isn't awful. Yeah. It was speed booster, so I am right. So it is Scarf Miraidon, which is fine. I do get an air slash off. It's a crit, that doesn't matter. We're gonna go into Lunala. We're going for Meteor Beam, and I guess we're gonna Seed Flare the... I don't outspeed Scarf Miraidon, I think, with Lunala, right? Well, I can. It depends on how fast the Miraidon is. I think at this point I got a Tailwind and I gotta go for Dazzle. Yeah, I think I have to. They retreat the Iron Treads, which is interesting. So what's coming in? Break? Oh, Mence. Wait, this is perfect. I got a free Dazzling Gleam off, which is nice because I put the Mence in range of any attack, which is huge. Okay. Full Twitch. Oh, Snarl is not great. Granted, I can play around this. I get a free Dazzling Gleam off. Not the worst damage. I could go for the Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam here, I suppose. Yeah, I'm gonna go for a Terra Fairy Dazzling Gleam. And Air Slash. They might Terra their Miraidon, but even if they do, that's okay, I suppose. Like, at this point, I'm gonna need some RNG to get back into this game anyway. Specifically with Shaymin. Or crits would work too against Kali Ice. Okay, no Terras. I do get an Air Slash and a Mens and a Dazzling Gleam. They are max speed Miraidon, which is bad. That is really bad. Let's see, can we KO the Miraidon? If we can KO the Miraidon, it's huge. And I don't think Seed Flare or Air Slash is KOing. We get a crit on the wrong Mon. We get a crit on the Mens that didn't matter. Okay. Go Calyrex. Again, this is still doable. I need some Air Slash flinches, but this is very doable. We Air Slash and we Gleam for damage. If they swap out, they probably lose their... Well, actually, it's still pretty tough. Okay. Red's coming out. They Terra. Okay, so they are forced into whatever Terastization they go for, which is nice. What Terra are you? Oh, Terra Normal's worst case, I think. Oh, no. That's worst case, I think. Again, Air Slash into the Calyrex. We get a Dazzling Gleam off. KO the Iron Treads. We're critting the wrong Mons. We need the RNG on the right Mons, not the wrong Mons. And they get a Glacial, it's over. Man, max speed Scarf Miraidon, I think, is really tough. I think just not being able to put on enough pressure immediately against the Miraidon, and they just freely Volt Switch around the other slot, which is difficult. Yeah, I just couldn't do much, unfortunately. Like, I'm trying to think, like, can Ursaluna do anything? It's like, okay, it can take a head attack, but if they Volt Switch around and they damage to Ursaluna, like they were able to two-shot. I mean, granted, I should have read the second time. The Steel Roller play on the second turn was beautiful from them, but... And it's like, okay, what else could I do? I mean, if I KO maybe a Miraidon with Seed Flare instead of KOing the Mence, maybe. I have no idea what the Mence set is, though. And yeah, I can't win against Terra Normal Kali Ice, especially. I would have needed the Ursha round. I think the lead was kind of awkward. Maybe I had to hard commit instead of going for a mid ground, because I let it going for a mid ground because I'm like, I gotta cover for Cali Ice, but because they led the offensive Miraidon, it just like made my switches really awkward. All right, we have Zamazenta, Calyx, Shadow Rider. There's the Qianpao, Dragonite, Galarian Weezing, and the Raging Bolt. Gonna be a bit complicated one. I'm not too worried about the Dragonite. I am worried about the Qianpao though. Qianpao is scary. I assume it's a Solvest Qianpao on this team, which makes more sense to me. What do I want to go? Because Qianpao's rough. I think I should always lead Urshifu. Even if they lead Raging Bolt, it's probably like an okay trade-off. I think Urshifu plus the Shaymin Sky is really good lead-wise. In the back, am I gonna go for Tailwind setup or not? I feel like I can't. I don't really like Raging Bolt in this matchup either. I think it's the Lunala and the Ursaluna, because I think I need Ursaluna in order to beat the Raging Bolt. And I need the Lunala to be able to beat the Calyx, the Zamazenta. Because otherwise I don't have really good body press. Yeah, this is kind of a weird matchup and I'm not a huge fan of it. The Weezing is going to make this weird. I mean, abilities aren't like the craziest important things in this. It obviously does help with Serene Grace. It does help out with Shadow Shield and Unseen Fist, but it's not like necessary. I'm not like Guts or Saluna, so it's not like that impactful on that mon at least. Raging Bolts, Weezing. Okay. I'm fine with this lead though. Wait. I'm fine with this lead. I think they Thunderclap turn 1. I feel like the answer is no, but I still go Ursaluna anyway, Protect. I don't think it's worth ever greeting a U-turn. I'm going to Protect, swap into my Bear, and then next turn, I either Tailwind Earthquake or I go for Earthquake Air Slash into Weezing. Both work. But Bear seems pretty safe here. I'm kind of surprised they led this, but it works out pretty well. Electro Web, so it should be a Solfest on the Raging Bolt. That's good information. That means they probably can't Protect. Sludge Bomb into Shaymin. Perfect. Perfect. Really good turn. Really good turn. All right. All right. That's pretty good. I don't think they bring Dragonite here. They could, but I don't think they do. I think I'm going to go for Earthquake and Air Slash. Because even if I Tailwind, it's not like I'm faster. Well, I'm faster than a Bolt, but it doesn't really matter here. I think I need to get the Weezing off the field. Like, I need to get a knockout. So I'm going to go for Air Slash and Earthquake. If they protect the Weezing, it's not like the worst case. I feel like they might have to Terra the Raging Bolt because they need it for Urshifu. And that's all right. I'm kind of curious on how fast the Weezing is. Is it going to be like one of the really fast Weezings or is it going to be slow? But then again, I think my Ursaluna is going to underspeed no matter what. Wow, no Terras. I get an Air Slash off in a Weezing. A Draco, but that's not going to KO. Yep. Nowhere near close. Sludge Bomb. I actually hope the Weezing lives the Earthquake. I would actually like it to live the Earthquake so I can Tailwind the next turn and have all the turns. But granted, nope, that's not the case. All right. But I'm in a good spot regardless because now, even if I don't get the KO there, like they go Calyx or if they go Zalma, that's fine. Because if they went Calyx, right, they couldn't KO the Bear. And right now, the Raging Bolt is super pressured. You know, I want to go out. I don't think I can lose both Pokemon here. I could Terra Ghost my Bear, but that means I don't have Terra Water on Ursh. I guess my best play is to protect the Shaymin and sack the Bear. I think that is the best play. Let's see. All right, we protect the Shaymin. This wasn't a double protect, right? No, I went for Air Slash the last turn, so no, this is not a double protect. They go for Body Press, they KO. Like, the thing is, I think they Electro Web plus go for this. Oh, wait, that wasn't going to KO Shaymin, so I could have maybe hard swapped into Lunala. Oh no, they Draco, so this works. Okay. This works. I get my Lunala in pretty safely. And now I can go for Meteor Beam into the Raging Bolt and the Tailwind. Yep, that's exactly what I do here. I don't know if Moongeist Beam will KO, so I'd rather go for the Meteor Beam here. For the +1. And I need more damage in the Zamazenta anyway in the future turns if I get attacks with Lunala, so I think it's better. I go for Thunderclap into Shaymin, which is interesting. I do get the Tailwind up, which is beautiful. Really good. Please land this Meteor Beam, because if we don't land this Meteor Beam, can I? No, I would lose because I get Thunderclapped the next turn on my Ursh into Body Press and I can't win. Yeah, I need to land this Meteor Beam. I do KO the Raging Bolt, which is really good, and now it's just the Restricteds. They go for Bash into the Lunala, understandable. Alex comes in. I think they protect the Calyrex, but I think my best play is just a wide guard anyway, so the Calyrex can't get an attack off. And I go for I'm gonna go for Seed Flare, because if I get that special defense drop, then I could always just Moongeist Beam the Zamazenta in the future turn. So I think that's fine. I have to hit Air Slash or Seed Flare anyway, and if I think getting the better odds is like getting the Seed Flare off into the Zamazenta to put in Moongeist Beam range. Makes it easier so I can clean up the Calyrex with Scarf Urshifu. But we'll see. They could protect the Calyrex because I think they would be fearing like a Moongeist Beam. They can Terra. They do have Terrassization available. Wide Guard kind of covers both possibilities of them protecting or going for the Terrassization. They do protect. Yep, exactly. So we wide guard just in case because it was a good mid ground. I guess I could have got damage in the Zamazenta, but Calyrex just blows an attack and Zama protects for some reason. Yeah, that's bad. Nice. That's a great one. And they went for the Bash into the Shaymin, which is perfect. Okay, so Shaymin goes down and now I get a perfect Urshifu switch in here. And this is a very safe Surging Strikes Terra Water plus Dazzling Gleam shot. Yeah. We go for Dazzling Gleam and we go for Terra Surging Strikes. I mean, the only way this loses if the Calyrex is Citrus. They go for random Wide Guard, which they should never Wide Guard in this position. Or the random Terra Water, which I don't think is the case. I could have Moongeist Beam, but I'm kind of worried in case they are Eevee to survive the Terra Water Surging Strikes and they're Terra Normal, then I would lose. You see Terrassization? I think this is Zama, right? Yeah, into Dragon. This also works because I get a good Dazzling Gleam off into the Zama. Okay, so I should have the Wind Seal then. So we go for the Terra Water Surging Strikes into the Calyrex. Should blow it up. Unless they're EV2, which is like 4 HP, 84 defense, but it looks like they're not invested. So Calyrex goes down. Now it's single target Dazzling Gleam and I got the KO. If it did survive, I got the Gleam off, and yeah, like that's why I was setting up this end position exactly like this. So we're able to KO the Zamazenta with the Dazzling Gleam, and yeah, I mean, like Moongeist Beam would have also KO'd the Zamazenta, but just ensuring it because as long as Calyrex didn't get an attack off, I had really good chances because they would have to crit to knock out with Body Press, and I don't think Crit Behemoth Bash knocked out the Lunala at that range, so very solid. Like the fact that they're Wheezing Raging Bolt was just an interesting lead. It worked if it wasn't for the fact that I am a Assault Vest versus Luna with no Flame Orb. So like normally they'd be able to shut down the Guts version with Flame Orb and I'd be Burn Ursa Luna. So I'd be doing a lot less damage and I'd be taking the recoil from the burn. But yeah, my Ursa Luna was actually a ground type that could just attack and not have to worry about it. So I was able to get some really heavy damage with Earthquake and was able to set up a nice endgame Tailwind situation, which was perfect once I trapped the Restricteds in. Lunala, Indeedee, Calyx, Ice Rider, Smeargle, Urshifu, Rillaboom. Okay, it's hard trick room stuff. What am I doing against this? Is Lunala good into this? I'm not 100% certain. Ursaluna could be really good here. Lunala is pretty good here. I think I always lead Lunala. I think Lunala plus Shaymin would work. I think Lunala Shaymin works. I think I need the bear and Pelipper. I don't know. This is just such a weird team. It's such a weird team to deal with because it's like Trick Room stuff. And Lunala is really good against him, right? Lunala is really good against him. My only problems with dealing with this is wide guard. I will need wide guard. The bear is just awkward. Like the last Pokemon is just so awkward for me no matter what I bring. Like Lunala's good, Shaymin's decent, and then the other two are like toss-ups. I don't think Raging Bolt is good against this team because they have Cali Ice and they have the Rilla, which I can't really touch for much damage. The Smeargle is also pretty annoying, so I just don't really want to bring Raging Bolt either. The Urshifu on my side is like good against Cali Ice. It's good against Smeargle, but it's like bad against everything else. Pelipper is awkward because I could be powering up their Urshifu, and I'm only really bringing it for a second wide guard option. And Ursaluna is just weird. It's good against Lunala, but it's not really good against everything else. We're gonna see Smeargle Lunala against Shaymin plus D Lunala, okay? This should be follow me trick room, right? I think that'd be the case. They could fake out the Shaymin. I think it's unlikely to, but that could be the case. I don't know if I want a Meteor Beam here because I might switch out into Ursaluna the next turn. I think I'm going to go for Dazzling Gleam and Air Slash Smeargle. Lunala retreats. What? Okay. Indeedee, sure. I don't know why the Indeedee came out. Again, Air Slash into the Smeargle and a Dazzling Gleam. Oh, they thought I was going to Moongeist Beam there, but would I ever Moongeist Beam when there's a Smeargle with Follow Me available? I just don't know. I think that's a misinterpretation from my opponent on what I could do there. We're going to see the Lunala come in, but that's fine. At this point, I've gotten some really nice damage across the bat. Yeah, like I'm really up ahead now, which is great. I think I always go for Dazzling Gleam and I go for Seed Flare into the... Actually, no, I go for Air Slash into Lunala in case they don't follow me and they just rip attacks. Okay, so I get a Dazzling Gleam and Air Slash off. We flinch to Lunala, which is nice, and they're gonna Trick Room. Yep, Trick Room's fine. Okay. Don't mind that. Are you going to Expanding Force or Moongeist Beam? I guess we'll find out, but Ursaluna is a pretty safe bring here and just to protect from the Shaymin Sky. And then next turn we can go for like Earthquake, Headlong Rush, Shadow Claw even. We have a bunch of different plays that we could go for. So we'll protect our Shaymin as they go for Heal Pulse. That's fine. Okay. They Meteor Beam to Shaymin? I mean, if they Meteor Beam to Ursaluna, that's fine too. Okay. Interesting. They're gonna Expanding Force. I just don't know if they Helping Hand or not. We go for an Earthquake, I'm pretty sure, and we're gonna go for a Seed Flare into the Lunala. If they go for Follow Me, that's fine. If they go for Helping Hand, it works too. They go for Follow Me, so I do break the Shadow Shield on the Lunala, which is pretty massive. And we are stalling out Trick Room turns, but we gotta be careful on the last turn of Trick Room, I think. Go for Expanding Force, okay. They crit to Shaymin, but that's whatever. And Seed Flare will KO the Indeedee. So, not a bad start, but this is still not like the easiest position with Kali Ice, because the heal pulse is something I forgot that they could have. All right, this should be Kali Ice. Yep. Two turns of Trick Room. I think my best play is to go for a Shadow Claw into the Ursaluna and protect my Shaymin to stall out another turn of Trick Room. Was it better to maybe bring in the Pelipper freely? I think it might have. But let's see. I don't think they're going to double Trick Room here, but they do Glacial. That's fine. Okay. Don't mind that. The Lunala didn't have Protect. It should be Wide Guard 3 attacks, I'm assuming. Expanding Force, okay. I think it's probably Terra Grass on the Lunala. And if it's Terra Grass on the Lunala, I'll play around like that. Psychic Terrain disappears. Well, we saw Meteor Beam, Expanding Force. It has to be Moongeist Beam, and then I assume it's a Wide Guard. I think we go Pelipper here always. You might be thinking, why am I going Pelipper here? I'm going Pelipper because I'm going to go for Protect with my Pelipper, and I'm going to Air Slash the Lunala. The reason is I'm willing to sack Shaymin here, and if they decide, hey, I'm going to go for double Trick Room to verse Trick Room, I have a 60% chance to flinch out the Lunala, so that doesn't happen. They go for close combat, which is fine too. Okay. They also lowered the defenses, which is really nice. So they expected me to go for Wide Guard, but I didn't have Sash on the Pelipper, so I'm not risking it here. This is me, Moongeist Beam. Yeah. I have a few options. Meteor Beam and Hurricane are really tempting here, or Moongeist Beam Hurricane. I should easily live with Glacial Lands with my Lunala, so I should be fine there. I think Terra-wise, they're probably going to Terra the Lunala. I don't think the Lunala has Protect. I think I'm doubling it up with Moongeist Beam and Hurricane. And I'm hoping I'm faster and get the KO with Hurricane Moongeist Beam. I'm not going to Terra because I don't think I need to Terra here. Granted, I guess my Terra is kind of useless no matter what happens. Actually, no, because Terra would put me vulnerable to close combat, but even then, like, it's not really that important. We do see Terastallization come out from the Lunala into grass. Yep, okay. Because I remember these comps usually having, like, grass on the Lunala, so I should be able to get the KO here with Hurricane. Protect Kalias? They don't protect Kalias. Okay, still fine. It just depends on who moves first. Yeah, I do move first. Okay, so I get the Hurricane off. I KO the Lunala. And even +2 Glacial shouldn't knock out Lunala through Shadow Shield. And then Lunala should be able to win the game. And if they trigger him, I just Wide Guard Meteor Beam and they can't do anything. Yeah, they just Glacial. I should be fine. Yep. And now I go for the Kali Ice. Might live my Moongeist Beam since I'm timid. I'm willing to risk a Meteor Beam here. Okay, they don't protect, so if I hit the Meteor Beam, I just win. Okay. Nice. Beautiful. All right. A good start. It got shaky in the middle, but I felt like I was pretty good at being able to give myself the best odds to stall out the Trick Room turns. And then once Trick Room was over, I was able to double up the Lunala like expected with Moongeist Beam Hurricane to take the knockout. And then because they didn't crit me with the Kali Ice, I was able to put my Lunala into a really good spot to win the game. I think they just made a really aggressive turn one and it just really didn't work out, especially because, again, there was probably like no way I was clicking Moongeist Beam when they had options for Follow Me. So yeah, that was definitely not something I was going for. All right, we have Magearna, Calyx, Shadow Rider, Smeargle, Indeedee, Annihilate, and Torkoal. Great. We get to play a very fun one. Although Ursaluna's really good here. Like, Ursaluna's fantastic because, yeah, we have really good coverage against the entire team. Our Soul Vest should be pretty good here. So I do want to bring the Ursaluna. I do want to say it's probably a combination. I like Shaymin as a lead. I like Shaymin Ursaluna actually as the lead. It's pretty strong, I'd imagine. I think I'd probably go with that lead and then have Lunala Pelipper back. Because I was thinking I could lead this and it would be a decent spot. I guess I could also lead Shaymin Sky plus the Lunala, which would be also really good here. Tempting. I think it's definitely Shaymin Sky lead. The question is Ursaluna or the Lunala lead. I think I'm gonna lead the Ursaluna. The reason I'm gonna lead Ursaluna is because if they decide to lead the final gambit Annihilate, I can maybe try to bait them going for like close combat final gambit and lock in and switch into the Lunala, which I think is nice, but we'll see. It's going to be the combination of Smeargle Magearna, which makes sense here. Okay, as I will lead my Ursaluna plus the Shaymin Sky, and I think this is a pretty decent situation. Yeah, I don't think this is that bad of a situation. I do like the idea of just going for an Air Slash into the Smeargle immediately and just drawing off an Earthquake. I don't really see a problem with that, so that's exactly what I'm going to do. 60% chance to flinch if the Smeargle doesn't go for Fake Out this turn. Who goes for Fake Out? Not the biggest deal in the world. I don't think they can be able to take a knockout here, and I like the idea of this. So they go for Fake Out to break my Sash, which makes sense. I will be able to get an Earthquake off into both. Oh, they go for Gleam instead, which is interesting. Okay, doesn't really do much damage, and I do get an Earthquake off, so pretty big damage. I'll gladly take that. Yeah, just look at how much damage I just got. They get a Moody Boost, which is going to be defense and special attack, which is pretty fine by me. Like, I think I'm in a pretty comfortable spot here. I do outspeed Smeargle if I do go for Tailwind, so I don't see a reason why I don't just Tailwind and Earthquake here. Even if they have Wide Guard, I think that's fine. Well, actually, yeah, they went for Follow Me, so this actually works out. So this is perfect. I get the Tailwind and Earthquake off, and I'm about to destroy 2 Pokemon on the lead and have a Tailwind advantage. Looking super solid right here, as Earthquake will take the knockout. I was wondering if they would attempt to go for like a Spore and Ursaluna. There was like a chance they went for Wide Guard, but because the Magearna was so low, like I could have just went for Air Slash into Smeargle and Earthquake, and they would never get Trick 'em Up anyway. So I was like, is there a chance they go for Wide Guard? I was like, probably decently unlikely there. So very nice, very nice. And now we're going to see the Indity lead, or Indity brought with Calyrex? Yeah, Calyrex. Okay. So this is Follow Me. They might not follow me here. If they don't follow me, I do get a Shadow Claw potential. I have Wide Guard on the Pelipper, so I'm not like too scared of the attacks here. I think we just go for an Air Slash into the Calyrex and we go for Earthquake. Yeah, I'm just gonna go for Air Slash and Earthquake. They go for Helping Hand, so this is perfect. If I get the flinch, I'm in a great spot. Well, we missed the Air Slash. Shaymin, you had one job. Hit the Air Slash. Go for Expanding Force. Is that Specs? That might be Specs. If it's Specs, I think I just straight up win the game, but I'm not 100% certain. If it's Life Orb, I lose. I want to say that's probably Specs. Ah, why you Life Orb? Come on, Shaymin, at least get the Air Slash, man. That was what you were supposed to do. All right, we have Pelipper in with Lunala, so this isn't like the worst because we do have Wide Guard potential. But man, that just makes this game like decently likely to lose here, I think. I'm gonna go for Tailwind, or not Tailwind, Wide Guard here, and go for a Meteor Beam. Yeah, I just gotta hope the Calyrex doesn't have an attack that can actually break through the Pelipper, I guess. Oh man, even that damage would have been really nice with the Air Slash. They go for the Terra Calyrex. Gonna be the Terra normal. That's fine. I do have Dazzling Gleam that I can hit the Calyrex with. Go for Helping Hands. I'm kind of curious on what the attack is from the Calyrex, but this works out pretty well for me. We go for the Wide Guard. And the Meteor Beam. All right. So how much damage is this doing? To entity. Should do a decent did I miss? They went for Pollen Puff. That makes sense. Do I lose? I think I do. Really? I think if I hit that, I might be fine. But I think I guarantee lose now. Because I could have went for Dazzling Gleam Weather Ball the next turn with Terra Fairy to KO the Calyx. Now I can't even do that. This game sometimes, man. Do I have a counterplay? I do. I gotta read if they're going to go for a spread move or if they're going for Pollen Puff again. Because if they do, I can go for Weather Ball and Dazzling Gleam or Terra Fairy to resist a Pollen Puff. You know, sometimes Pokemon will be Pokemon. Sometimes Pokemon will be Pokemon. Alright. Now we just gotta pray. Terra Fairy, so now we resist a Pollen Puff. I don't even know if this will matter. Well, I guess if they Helping Hands, they won't KO. But yeah, they follow me. That makes sense. The question is, did you Pollen Puff or not? Because if you Pollen Puff, that's going to be a big deal because it's going to be a mind game the next turn. I do get that Dazzling Gleam off. It's +1 at least, so I'll do decent damage. Yeah, good damage. Weather Ball will KO the entity. I'd assume so. Okay. What did the Calyx go for? They went for Pollen Puff. Do I live? Oh. And if I was Sash on Pelipper, I could guarantee the win. But unfortunately, we are not Sash. But you know what would have secured the game? Hitting the Meteor Beam, hitting the Air Slash, all that damage would have mattered. 90% moves. I can't, man. I can't. I can't. This is classic. This is classic. I'm not even gonna say, oh, I could have played better. This was literally, I won if I just hit either of those moves. Either of those moves, I would have won. That's how it goes sometimes. All right, let's go over the games. In game 1, unfortunately, I was not able to knock out the Brute Bonnet with the double up, which put me in a bad spot. Luckily, I was able to get a good read into the Koraidon and get a Hurricane off, hitting it in Sun, which was massive. However, I still don't know if that was the best play. Maybe it was just to switch out the Pelipper to still have the Weather, because maybe I could just go for Weather Ball. We saw the Koraidon didn't really do much damage, especially when they decided to go for Flare Blitz instead. So maybe full health Pelipper would have just been able to beat the Koraidon 1v1, even if there was Ursaluna Protect and even Double Protect options that my opponent had. So maybe it was still better to preserve the Pelipper. But at the end of the day, I was able to win, thankfully, with the Pelipper, as it was just really hard for my opponent to stop once I was able to get in the Pelipper under the rain and KO their Ursaluna with that Weather Ball. In game 2, that was a huge knockout into the Miraidon with the Seed Flare combo, get the special defense drop, as well as the Dazzling Gleam, because it covered pretty much any terrestrialization that the Miraidon can go for. Sure, could I went for Terra Fairy and absolutely have sealed it? Sure, but I thought, you know what? Let's have some risky gambles, and it did pay off. I was able to pick up a huge knockout to the Miraidon, and then they decided, hey, I lost the Miraidon and I lose the game, which I think they could have easily played out of, at least hope for like a Seed Flare miss, or maybe like that they can get an aggressive read on a Protect play, but they decided, hey, it was not enough. In game 3, maybe I did need to Terra to knock out the POW turn 1 with the Surging Strikes with the Terra Water Urshifu. But either way, I still don't think I was in a great spot, because I don't think the matchup was that amazing. Maybe I should not let Urshifu. However, Chien-Pao Rillaboom is just super difficult for this team, I think, in general, especially to switch into. Luckily, they chose not to Grassy Glide my Ursaluna. I was able to KO the Rillaboom, which put me in a spot where I actually had a chance to win, because they doubled up the Lunala to pick up the knockout, and I got the reads and the RNG in the end game that I needed in order to pick up that victory. In game 4, I was hoping to knock out the Iron Treads immediately with the Earthquake. I thought maybe they'd be Life Orb. I get the Earthquake KO at least. Miraidon switching out with Volt Switch makes sense, or maybe they go for an aggressive Draco Meteor play and it doesn't work out. But yeah, it did not work out. And then to hurt as well, the fact that they were max speed on the Miraidon with Snarl, which made it even worse for me because the fact that they were max speed Choice Scarf with Snarl meant they outsped my Lunala before I could get a Dazzling Gleam off and Tailwind, and then I was just having really low damage output, and that really set things back for me. So it was not great. The start wasn't great, and the rest wasn't. Was it winnable? Sure, I probably needed some luck with Shaymin, but even then it didn't seem like it was going to go too well. In game 5, it was an interesting lead with the Galarian Weezing and the Raging Bull, but the Ursaluna with no Flame Orb was actually just super impactful here because it was just able to take the attacks, just go for the Earthquake, especially with that Assault Vest, living the Draco Meteor very comfortably. And then I was able to position a really nice spot where I was able to knock out the Raging Bolt, trap in the restricted Pokemon, and have the Tailwind set up so I can just fire off some really strong damage output in order to clear away the restricteds. In game 6, this was a Lunala, Calyx, Ice Rider, Hard Trick Room team, which definitely is an interesting one. But I did have a great start on the turn 1 because I think they thought I was going to Moongeist Beam, but I was never Moongeist Beaming in front of a Smeargle with Follow Me potential. So they got that read wrong, and I was able to KO the Smeargle, which was great. It kind of got a bit ugly because they had Heal Pulse on the Entity, which made it a lot tougher for me to handle with the Lunala getting healed back to Shadow Shield. So I had to stall out the Trick Room. But luckily, was able to stall out the Trick Room, double up KO the Lunala, even through Terrassization afterward, and then had a pretty good spot against the Calyx Ice Rider by itself in the end game. In game 7, it was just unlucky, man. Like, what can I say? This was a game of Pokemon, all right. I had so much potential to just win if I hit either of the two moves, the Air Slash or the Meteor Beam. They're both over 90%, and I missed both. And if I got any of that damage, I probably just straight up seal up the win instantly. So unfortunate, but I think I played the best. And, you know, like Shaymin has an accurate move, so there's no better play. And Air Slash is my best odds. And I had to go for the Meteor Beam, I feel like, to get the damage into the Entity. But that's just how it turns out in Pokemon sometimes. The odds could be in favor, but you could still lose because you do hit the unlucky odds. So how was the team? I mean, I do think it does have some weaknesses. Rillaboom and Chien-Pao double up was really tough, I think. Like, I don't think the team switches into Chien-Pao or Rillaboom at all. So that's a little bit tricky. Was Shaymin Sky amazing? I mean, he has a good speed stat, but it's still slower than a lot of the restricteds, I think, just because of power creep. I mean, Air Slash Flinch is kind of cute. I don't know how many we even got in this session, if we even got any at all. Like, I can't really remember a big one. But overall, like, the Tailwind support was nice. The coverage is solid. It's not a terrible Pokemon. It's just really awkward because it has a really bad defensive type. And yeah, like, there is like Covert Cloak now, which didn't exist in previous generations as well. And sometimes, you know, Air Slash is not a thing that will flinch because it's only 60%. It's not 100%. But across the board, team was fun. If you want to try it out, the rental code is on your screen. Hopefully it's still available by the time the video comes out. If you'd like to check out the details of the team and the creator, they'll be linked in the description down below. And of course, subscribe to the channel for more VGC content as always.